Welcome into this week's edition of the Climate Friday newsletter. Meteorologist John Burchfield here with the latest as we round the corner from October into November. And now that we've seen our first snowfall of the season, it's time to talk early season snow, what you can expect for the rest of the month of November, and also how is climate change playing a role in early season snowfall. We're going to answer all of those questions and more, whether you're tuning in on our YouTube channel, WTOL.com, or on our streaming services. Good to have you this Friday, and we'll share the latest information each and every week, starting things off with early season snowfall and also a look ahead to the month of November. First and foremost, want to share a couple viewer photos. You can always submit those weather photos on our free WTOL 11 weather app of that rare Halloween trick-or-treat snowfall coming down pretty heavily in Swanton. Nicole sent this photo of a light accumulation on grassy surfaces. Those roads are still a bit too mild for it to stick on roadways, but we did get a nice accumulation, our first measurable snow of the year. This one coming in from Tom in White House. Boy, that heavy wet snow to wrap up the month of October just in time for trick or treat. This early season snow was a Halloween record, and in fact an October 31st snowfall record of 7/10 of an inch not only broke but shattered the previous records. That was shared between 1954 and 1917. Each one of those brought only 1/10 of snow accumulation. We surpassed that by a significant amount, 7/10 of an inch to cap off the month of October. Now that was our only snowfall during the entire month of October, as October snow is rather rare. But just that one single snow put us at number 6 on the list of 6th snowiest on record. The most snow that we have ever recorded during the month of October, that happened during 1989, and we got 2 inches of accumulation. So even at the very top of the list, October snowfall not exactly commonplace, and we ranked number 6. This was the first time we got measurable snow in the month of October in 3 full decades, and we're also going to look ahead to the month of November in this week's Climate Friday, where we finally start to average a little bit of measurable snowfall. So looking back at that record of 1989, 2 inches of snow accumulation, it is very early on in the season to see widespread snow in October, but once we start to get into the territory of November, it becomes a little bit more commonplace. And just for fun, looking back on an exceptional November of 1966 that brought 17.9 inches of snow. Can you imagine that? 1.5 feet of snowfall during the month of November. So here's what you can expect going forward, and also recapping October. During a normal October, we only average 1/10 of an inch. Of course, not much, and most Octobers don't even bring us any measurable snowfall. During a typical November, that is when things really start to ramp up, and even with that, we don't even get 2 inches on average. So if you're not exactly eager for snowfall, well, rest assured, November snowfall, not all that common. What about temperatures? Well, we finally recorded some freezing temperatures October 31st. In addition to bringing that snowfall, also brought us the coldest temperature that we recorded all month, and that was 26 degrees in that territory that we consider to be a hard freeze. We were late to the party this year in terms of getting that frost freeze. And if you may recall, in last week's Climate Friday newsletter, I talked about that first freeze of the season and how we were a couple weeks later than usual this year. So let's recap the month of October and look ahead to November before we get into the climate link. In terms of monthly rainfall, well, this October was actually wetter than average. We saw 3.5 inches of rainfall, but finally did have some nice dry weather for the fall harvest. What about snowfall? It was just that Halloween snowmaker that brought us 7/10 of an inch of accumulation. As far as temperatures are concerned, well, even though your recent memory may recall that Halloween cold and snow, we actually ended up faring above average in the temperature department with a mean or an average high over the course of the month of 65 degrees. And you may recall how warm this month actually started. The hottest day during the month of October, a testament to that mild start to the month that lifted temperatures as high as 89 degrees. All right, that's the month of October. Now we're in November, and let's look ahead to snowfall. Here's some of the recent Novembers, looking back from 2019 to 2022, and you will notice some ups and downs in the snowfall department. In other words, November snowfall can often be a wild card. Some of the snowier Novembers in recent memory include 2021 with 3.8 inches and 2019 with 4.1 inches. That's over double the monthly average. Last November was relatively uneventful in the snow snowfall department. We only logged 0.4 of an inch of snow, and 2020 was just a little bit shy of average with 1.3 inches of accumulation. Now, with the snow beginning to ramp up and become a little more commonplace, we are unfortunately going to have to say goodbye to the autumn colors, and many areas, especially west of I-75, are approaching past peak, and areas east of I-75 still have a little more lingering color, but overall the brightest and most vibrant of the fall colors are behind us. We addressed that a few weeks ago in the Climate Friday newsletter, talking about the link between climate change and fall foliage. Along the lakeshore, the peak of fall colors typically happens a little bit later due to the milder marine environment along the lake. So November, let's talk about climate change and how it is impacting our weather here at home, and also how November may be shifting and changing due to climate change. Well, Thanksgiving may still seem like a ways away, but it's the next big holiday that you got to prepare for. Overall, Thanksgiving is getting a couple degrees warmer. In fact, some data shows a near 3-degree increase in Thanksgiving temperatures, with an overall upward trajectory despite some year-to-year variation that can be due to simply the weather pattern. In terms of days below freezing, well, they are becoming more commonplace, at least during November. But as a whole, if you look at decade-to-decade change and what is projected for the future, it is becoming less likely that we see sub-freezing temperatures. The more days below 32, those are shaded in darker colors. During the 80s, we saw more of those dark colors or more sub-freezing days. And if you look ahead towards what those weather forecasts and climate models project for the future, you'll notice fewer of those days. Lighter colors on the scale indicate 20 to 50 days below 32, where some of those darker colors indicate well in excess of 100. So of course there is some year-to-year change, but overall the number of freezing temperatures, not quite as many as we used to see. If you look at the month of November as a whole, we've seen a significant increase in temperatures. Data since 1970 over the last half century or so shows a 1.4 degree increase in November temperatures. And believe it or not, November is actually one of the months that has been the least changed in today's era of climate change. If you flip forward the calendar towards December, that month has warmed up by over 3 degrees. So we've seen a significant increase, but once we head towards December, that is a month that has really been affected by climate change. That's for Toledo and Northwest Ohio, but across the nation and across the globe, it is a trend that has also been repeated. November continues to get warmer and warmer across the globe, and 46 straight Novembers have featured above average temperatures, and that's comparing the temperature to the 20th century average, 1900 to 2000. So we're seeing a lot more warmer than average Novembers, and that is a trend that we're likely to continue to repeat. Now, even though we started off this month chilly with a little bit of snow still on the ground November 1st, there is the chance that we will start to see some milder temperatures as the month unfolds. As we head towards the rest of the month of November, be sure to subscribe if you are not already. You can do that at WTOL.com/email. We talk fall foliage, we talk early season snow, and of course, with winter on your minds, we'll be addressing that topic and what you can expect as we head towards November and eventually the winter season. We'll see you next Friday with the very latest.